Hi, welcome to How to Repair. Today we're going to be looking at oven timers, how they work, and how they work in conjunction with relays that are built into the modern cooker timers. I'll be showing you how to bench test a timer and also explaining how the relays work. Whether you have a freestanding cooker, a range cooker, a double oven that we have here, or single oven that I have behind me. This is the mechanical version, and this one here is the digital version, meaning that this one is controlled by a computer. In other words, you have two separate circuit boards on this oven, one controlling the functionality of the timer, and then you have a main circuit board that controls all the functionality of the oven via relays and sensors. The older ovens used to have normal thermostats, which you would set, and also selector switches, which you would set. This has been around for the last 30 odd years and is the more traditional system and the more reliable system to them all. The timers would either have 3 to 6 buttons on the front, but the more modern cookers today have touchscreen display. This means that they actually have sensors that detect your finger through the glass, making it easier to clean, but highly complicated and a lot more unreliable. Let me go through some of the timers that have been about over the years. Basically, you have a conventional timer. Now, this timer is nearly older than me. It was made in the 70s and it had an electronic motor, but it drove a mechanical clock mechanism. This also had 3 separate shafts on it where you would be able to set up manual or automatic, time for cooking, and how long it was cooking. Very reliable system. Really, most engineers would tell you it was very rare that you ever replaced a timer in the 70s. They were extremely reliable. Then, as the years went by, we went for same type of system, but they were a little bit more modern. In other words, plastic cogs instead of steel cogs, and these had tendency to become a little bit less reliable because of the heat on the switching gear at the back. Again, a mechanical switching gear. And let me explain the switching gear. Whether you have the very old system or slightly newer system, they were both switches, and mechanical switches are there for the purpose to allow electricity to go through to the individual function on the oven. When you were on automatic, the circuit was open until the correct time for your cooking started. Then the points would shut, allowing electricity to go through to the selector switch or the thermostat, depending on the way the cooker was wired. Newer cookers run on electronic relays. Now you have your power supply going into the timer, which is live and neutral, and then you had 1 or 2 relays on the timer. All these is electronic gates. In other words, mechanical switches, but these are electronic switches that allow electricity to go through at a certain point. These relays are different voltages. This relay, for example, is a 15-volt relay. That means the operation of the relay is 15 volt, but the power going through these 2 terminals here, which is the relay connections, are 240 volts in the UK, 220 in Europe, and other voltages will apply around the world. All it is a switch. This means that if you set your oven to main oven function on the top oven, select it to the temperature, which is here, when it's on automatic, it would be open circuit, meaning that oven would not be on. When the switch was activated, therefore, it will allow the oven to come on at that time. And then you may also set an additional function to allow it to cook for 2 hours, meaning it will turn that oven off after 2 hours. That is basically the idea of the timers. You also had, on some cookers, no timer at all, but you may have had a mechanical minute minder. This is a switching system that would only allow the cooker to run for, say, 1 hour, 30 minutes, and you would actually set it, it would run, and when it's finished, if I put that back on correctly, the bell would go off and it would disconnect the oven from the electricity supply, meaning that the oven would stop working. All these systems were great, but now we've got more complicated. We now have just glass panels with touch display. Even this cooker has a touch display on the timer. This senses your finger when you actually touch the panel. These are sensors which are able to detect through earthing that your finger is present, and therefore it's exactly the same as the button version, easier to clean, but more to go wrong. On the back of the timer, if we look at it, we have the feed in, the feed out, and again, a relay. There is no difference in the functionality on any of these timers when it comes to the relay. It's an actual switch which controls how the oven works. Now let's go into testing one of these relays and understanding the function of it. There are many different timer manufacturers around the world, and you will need your full model number and serial number on occasions to get the correct timer for your cooker. The link is in the description, not only to the timers, but also the tools that I use when testing. Now, this timer, for example, is a German manufactured timer, and this is manufactured by Invasi, and it actually has the timer number written on there. So you might actually be able to obtain a timer using this number. This one is an EL198-380.24A. This has two relays, and you've got a live and a neutral connection. The live and the neutral connection, once powered, will illuminate the display, and then you would have control to set the timer to whatever you needed. This then operates the two relays. Now, as I said, on this timer, the relays are in the closed position, meaning the points are shut inside the relay when it's not powered. So we can actually test across the relay quite quickly by just using the multimeter set on continuity. And let me just turn the camera close in for you. Testing across this, relay 1, good continuity. Relay 2, good continuity. When we power this timer up, the relays will automatically become open circuit. This is where a lot of people get confused when they have a power cut in the house and they contact me through the contact us page and say, my oven's not working. And all they've done is forgot to set the timer to manual. On this timer, automatically the factory settings are, as soon as you introduce power to the timer, the relays open and the points become open, meaning that the top oven and the bottom oven will not work. If it was a single relay unit, therefore on a single oven, the oven would not work because there is no power going to the selector switch or thermostat or the main control board. Now, if we come out and look at this timer is manufactured by a different company. It's a Chinese manufactured one. It's made by a company called Midea. Now, this timer in the unpowered situation is actually set so the relay is open, which is totally different. And if I zoom in here for you and I show you the connections, you have a plug here which has a live and a neutral, and this would power up the display exactly the same as the other. But this relay, when you're testing it, putting it on the table there, testing across the relay is actually in the open circuit, meaning there is no power able to transfer through. It does not mean it's faulty. It basically is just unpowered. The relay is in the open position, so the contacts are open, meaning no power would go through to the oven at all at that point. When the relay is activated and closed, then it will allow power to go through to the correct oven. So what we need to do now is test this one. And I'm going to do this because I've already got the buttons on there and it's easy for me to test. So I'm going to connect this up to the power supply to show you how the relays work on timed and untimed. I haven't got the instruction manual for this timer, but I do know which buttons activate the timer, and the relays will automatically go open circuit when I introduce power. This should only be done with people who are competent with electrics. General public shouldn't be doing this unless they know what they're doing with electrical supplies, because it is a live system and it is unsafe. So I'm connecting up the circuit board first to my test lead, and all my test lead is a plug with a live and neutral. The earth is not used because it's not an item that needs an earth. It's fully encapsulated in plastic. And we are going to connect the live up to the correct terminal and the neutral up to the correct terminal. Now, what I'm also going to do for you is, if I zoom in on the camera here for you, I am going to connect up my multimeter to one of the relays, and I'm just covering relay number 1 on the feed in and the feed out. I will put that there, so we've got it connected to the actual relay. And if I connect up my meter to this now, we will have continuity. Let me put them safe. Now, when we actually connect the electricity supply, those relays on the circuit board will automatically get energized by the actual power on the display, and they will become open circuit, meaning that our meter will lose continuity. Plugging this into the electricity supply, turning the power on, automatically you heard a little clink, and that was the relays opening. Now you'll notice on the actual display here, and I do apologize if it's flashing badly because my camera is set up to 50 Hertz frequency and I don't know how this affects with LEDs. We are on auto. This is what would happen if you had a power cut in the house. Now, if I turn this timer to manual now, it will automatically close the relays and the contacts on the points so that power goes through to the correct oven. I think it's button 3 and button 6. It's still on auto, but it's cooking for 1 minute. If I actually set this timer now to manual, where you can see the cooking dish in the middle, this now will stay on that position until you decide to cook with the timer and use the functionality of the relays. I hope I explained all that correctly for you. I'm just going to show you this one more time, and I'll turn the power supply on. As soon as I turned the power supply on, the points on the relay went open circuit. You can see on the meter here. And if I zoom in closely so you can see the timer now is on auto and it's waiting for it to be set to manual. I believe button 4 is the actual manual. You can see the cooking symbol that comes on. The relay now is closed, meaning power is able to go to the oven, and the other relay would send power to the other oven. And then I can adjust the time. If I press that again, and I can set the time to whatever's required. You will need to look in your actual manual on the way your Pacific timer needs to be set up, and this will vary massively between manufacturer to manufacturer. But there you go. And there you go. I hope that's everything you need to know about cooker timers. If you have any detailed questions, please give me your make of cooker, model number, serial number, and a detailed description of the problem. You can always use the contact us page at the website, and I'll be happy to upload any workshop manuals or anything else I can get for you with regards to your fault. I hope this video helped you. Links in the description below to any other information that you need, and there's also some other useful videos with regards to modern circuit boards on cookers. And if we really helped you, remember you can always click on the Bipolar Beer page and donate to the website. Thanks very much indeed for watching.